We're recording. So, welcome to another edition of 10 Minutes with. I am here with Kate, as you can see, and our guest comes to us is the host of the Bottom Line podcast. Please welcome Kevin Callair.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thank you for joining us early. We were scheduled for a little bit later, so this works out great. So, first question we ask everybody: why did you start a podcast?
Well, honestly, it's kind of shallow, but really I needed a hobby. So it started as a hobby, and a lot of people at like some of my like jobs have always been like, "Oh, do you do radio? Because you have a great voice for radio." So then I, kind of got big-headed, and then I was like, "All right, well maybe I'll, get into it more." But as I got in, I started to realize, that I felt I have a lot of, authentic, takes on things, not just like hot takes, not ridiculous craziness just to spark up attention, but actual authentic takes that you don't necessarily hear on TV or on the radio. There's no agenda with it. It's just legitimate, real takes that I feel like, me being a former athlete and me being just someone who loves sports has like, I feel like those takes have a very, very wide value. Large value in just like the sports talk world, whether it's radio, media, or podcast. And so I thought, I just need to get out there and just do it as much as I can to, build the kind of platform I can and, set good examples and get messages out and that sort of thing.
That's a great reason to start a podcast.
It really, yeah. Our reason was we need more traffic. But no, I mean, Kate, do you agree? My immediate first thought is, man, he has a great natural broadcasting voice. I'm so
way better than yours. Way better.
I work so hard to come off this. But
that is how you sound. How did you know?
I know what I sound like. But you do. I'm very jealous. You have a very natural sounding broadcasting voice, and that's awesome.
Thank you.
So besides your voice, what should the listener expect to hear during your podcast?
So my biggest thing is that when I first started, it was all about just building the base, setting kind of the foundation, the structure. So moving forward, you hear a lot of basketball, you hear a lot of football. Baseball doesn't seem to be able to get their stuff together. So therefore, I don't feel like they are worthy of being talked about too much right now. But honestly, anything sports related, I don't mind talking about soccer and golf, and whatever. There's a lot of special guests I got coming on. I'm in North Carolina, so locally, some, college guys like, NC State's T.J. Warren. I know him personally.
Oh, wow.
And like John Wall, I've met personally.
Former Phoenix Sun.
Exactly, former Phoenix Sun. He played for the AAU organization I played for. So, and just getting guys, David West from the Warriors and Hornets and Pacers, like just these big name guys. Devontae Graham's having a huge season in Charlotte. I know him personally. So like trying to get these guys out there to give kind of inside views on the things that we only get from social media and sports media that we can't get, like when we talk about trading players left and right, and to us, we talk about them like they're tools, but these are actually real human beings who have to move their families and change their lives. And so getting their interpretations on things from every day to things like the CBA to, things like playing with other stars, just all that kind of stuff, different takes. Like I said, things you don't really hear on TV or on the radio that much that you can get at the bottom line.
And here we go. This is why we go longer than 10 minutes every time. I'm going to deviate right now.
Sure.
I'm going to go right back to TJ Warren. And
okay.
It's Kate's like, ugh. No, with TJ, I was really disappointed that the Suns traded him to Indiana. I think he is a great talent, and I think it's really unfortunate that he's had the injury problems he's had in his career. I think he is a great talent and a great shooter.
It's so crazy because, ever since, back in the AAU days, he's been really quiet, really modest, really to himself, but he always had a knack like he could score. That was just like, he can put the ball in the basket. And then he went to State, and I'm a North Carolina fan. So he went to State, and I wasn't very happy. And again, he was always quiet. He reminded me a lot of Tracy McGrady in his facial demeanor. He doesn't really make too many, like he doesn't have too many emotions. He's always kind of looks like he's half in it. But he always score. And I thought that, right now, what Phoenix needs to me is a strong two-way small forward.
They need a lot of things.
Yes, but Devin Booker I think is a nice piece. I think Ayton's a solid piece. But like T.J. Warren now, especially what he's doing in Indy, him being the number 2 option, I don't mind it at all. And I think that he could have thrived. Him now growing up, not necessarily being so injured, in Phoenix, I think could have still been a great fit. I think that they kind of jumped the gun on that a little too early.
Yeah,
I think they jumped the gun.
Definitely gave up on him because
Absolutely.
I don't remember what they even got for him. I think it was more just a salary dump, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Same with Josh Jackson. I think that they kind of jumped the gun on that too. Like I think they got to, NBA is a developmental league. Nobody's ready when they first. Well, very few players are ready when they first come in. It takes 3 years. Think about a guy like Gordon Hayward. It took him 6 years before he finally popped and got a big contract. So I just think that in the world we live in now, teams are very impatient, and it kind of costs guys like Victor Oladipo. People weren't very patient with him, and people are jumping around and they finally find their niche, and all of a sudden it's like, what is this? Kyle Lowry. It took him even longer than 7 years. But yeah, I just think that Phoenix, if they're not seeing results immediately, they kind of get impatient like the rest of the world does. But I think that TJ would have been like, I think now this season or next season, like TJ would have really, really popped and could have helped them, slide in that 7-8 seed in the West.
I can only hope. I've been out here for 4 years now, and I really wasn't a big NBA fan. So when I moved out here, I'm like, I have to closely follow one of the teams, and it kind of fell as the Suns as the de facto choice. And then I'm just like, I picked the absolute worst time to start following the Suns.
Yeah. You should have chose the Mavericks.
You cheer a real team. I'm still for the Looney Tunes.
And we do have a sequel coming out. Is that next summer?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Speaking of not remembering, I forgot to set the timer.
Nice.
Whatever. We may be breaking a record already. So I don't even remember what. Go for it.
What's a piece of advice you have for a rookie podcaster?
So I'm just going to give a piece of advice that I got. Basically, consistency. If you treat your podcast like a hobby, it's never going to be any more than that. I think that everyone needs to take the time and sit down and either write it out or type it out, your who, what, when, why for your podcast. Who are you trying to who you're trying to target? Why are you making this podcast? When do you want to put this podcast out? And what do you want your content to be about? And I think that, you have to know those answers, and you have to be confident in those answers first. And then from there, it's just consistency. You can't put out a podcast, one in January and then one in June and then, a couple in July. Like, you have to be consistent. You have to show people who start to follow that you're serious about it. You have to be on your stuff, do your work. It's not as simple as just hopping on a mic and talking like most people think it is. If you have things to say, do your research so that you don't sound stupid, because there will be, educated people in the fields you're talking about who might be listening. So you don't want to, damage your credibility, but just be consistent, have fun with it. And, the biggest thing is value quality. Here at the bottom line, it's me. I'm the voice. People kind of like, when they think of the bottom line, they think me. But, I have a great sound guy, and Aaron, shout out to Aaron, who he sits right beside me every episode, and he's got the headphones on, and he's making sure the volume is right, the levels are right. One compliment that I get is that it always sounds very clear, because we, have certain softwares that we run to make it sound as professional as possible, because I can have the best content in the world, but if it's hard to hear, if it's hard to listen to, people don't want to listen. And just that commitment to consistency, that commitment to, staying honest and truthful, and just keeping it, as high quality as you can are kind of the things that'll help you grow moving forward.
We both laughed when you said consistency, because we got into that for a while where we were releasing one episode a quarter. So yeah, sometimes. And then, we get into the pandemic and like, we need to ramp this up. And then we brought in the 10 minutes. And now I think what are we at? 13 weeks in a row with an episode now?
I don't know. I'm counting days now.
I don't know. I haven't left my house. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So let's plug the show. Where can we find it? Where can we find you on social media?
So I use the site I use to host it is Buzzsprout. The website is kind of hard to find. So basically on social media, if you're on Twitter, you can search The Bottom Pod. It's The Bottom, THE, bottom _ POD. That's the podcast website. From there, if you look in the, like in the little description, you'll find the Buzzsprout website where you click it, you can come up, you'll see all the episodes. You also find my Twitter in there, which is the real Kev _0. So that's where you find it. I'm on Facebook. It's just, Kevin Callair, and Instagram is the real Kev _0 as well. The Bottom Pod though is strictly on Twitter. I don't have like an Instagram page for it. I kind of use the Bottom Pod is a part of me in those other social medias. Twitter is kind of one of the bigger, I think it's the biggest platform in my opinion as far as getting news and updates and things of that nature. So I use the Bottom Pod on Twitter. Everything else kind of goes through me. So the Bottom _pod on Twitter, and then the real Kev _0.
There we go. And for those two, we do also simulcast the show into stadiumscene.tv, and we make sure we link out to his podcast and social media. So you have a quick way to get in.
Oh yeah. I almost Stadium Scene TV.
Self plug. We're gonna
it's great because I try to like, I don't have Bottom Pod doesn't have a huge following yet, but I try to shout out Stadium Scene every single time. We
appreciate it. I mean, coming up is, we're still pretty small ourselves as an organization, but I mean, we paired up with over 100 podcasters, bloggers, video producers, and it's just the mentality of all of us. It's like, we're a school of fish. We all may be small, but as a large school of fish,
we can take on the shark.
We can take on the shark. That's right. That's exactly it.
Exactly. I did forget to mention, as far as like where else the podcast is broadcasted, like pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, iHeartRadio, just everywhere. If you are looking for wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find The Bottom Line. So that's just another thing I forgot to say.
All right, awesome, Kevin. Thank you again for being on the show. Really enjoyed digging open those Phoenix Suns repressed scars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just hoping it's just they're slow.
I believe in you.
Yeah, well, the good thing is, they made the cut for the reboot in Orlando.
That's right. They'll be there for a couple weeks.
A couple weeks.
The best part, when they announced that they're making it, but to make the playoffs, they basically have to like win out. Everybody else has to like lose out.
Yeah.
The Suns sent out an email, and the headline says, "So you're telling me there's a chance?" Nice Dumb and Dumber.
Yep. Yeah, and then like my grandmother, she used to live in Phoenix, so like, but that was back when like Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, when Sean Marion, like Suns, which is kind of the last time, Mike D'Antoni, last time they were actually rather relevant in the championship hunt. So I kind of
11 or 12 years since the last playoff run or something like that.
It's been a while, but they'll get there. They will.
Hey, you know what? If I can live to see the Cubs win a World Series, I can live to see
exactly. Anything's possible.
Yeah. So, again, Kevin, thanks again for being on the show. Check out the Bottom Line podcast, and of course, check us out at Stadium Scene on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Stadium _Scene on Instagram. I'm not mentioning TikTok. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a good one.